All right, questions for Jack and Carter.
Jackson, you and Keley okay after that little confrontation there?
Yeah, he definitely got the worst end of that. It's kind of just an awkward play, and he's tough, and he'll be all right.
Carter, Coach Forbes talked this morning about you being one of the X factors at the bottom of the lineup. How has just your comfortability increased there?
Yeah, it's just the more games you play, I guess the more comfortable you get. And my job's easy. I just got to get on base for the guys in the middle of the order, score runs, and help us win any way we can.
Sort of your journey. I mean, 2 years ago, you got thrown in the fire when Vance was out. Last year, it was tough to get in that outfield lineup. This year, finally settled in there. Just speak to that aspect of your personal journey.
Yeah, it's been great the last 2 years just watching all those guys come through here and just play really good baseball. Like Vance and Casey were two guys I really looked up to, and they taught me a lot, and basically just how to react and respond in certain situations and just know who I am and just play my game and try to get it better every day.
Carter, how have you seen some of these older experienced players like Vandy embrace that leadership role on you guys as well?
Yeah, Vandy's great, and Vandy and Knapp, our two captains, do a great job of leading the team and showing everyone how we do things around here. So it's easy for us to look to them as good examples of how to play the game and how to act on and off the field.
Mandy, can you go ahead? You have
I would say, Carter, on a personal level, how do you juggle all of the immense schoolwork that you are working on with playing baseball?
Yeah, right now is nice because we're out of school and I just focus on baseball. But yeah, during the year it's tough. It's a lot on my plate, but I just try to manage the best I can and plan ahead. Sometimes some weeks are harder than others, but the coaching staff and the whole team here just does a great job of helping me out and adjusting when needed.
Mandy, can you take us through what RL was asking you about the play with Keley and, you know, maybe a blow by blow, no pun intended. I mean, and did you think you might have knocked him out? You know, because you hit his head.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know where I got him. I knew that I got him good wherever it was. It was kind of right on my quad, right above the knee. Luckily, if it was my knee, it could have been a lot worse than it was.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I kind of went flipping over the top of him, and I kind of didn't really know where I got him or how bad it was going to be. When I saw him laying there, definitely was worried about him. Got him on the side of the head, I think, and like I said, it was my quad, luckily, and he's able to kind of tough it out. And I think that he, out of anybody, is going to be a guy that
Right.
does tough it out and not going to complain.
And you, just to follow up on that, I mean, how are you feeling? I mean, you hummered like not long after that, but I'm assuming you had to be hurting, wake up the next day, I'm sure sore. I mean, that type of collision.
He, I mean, really not too bad. Like, I got nothing to complain
you're
about.
in.
I got a little bit of quad, nothing to complain about.
Okay.
Jackson, I know you didn't want for it to happen, but you guys faced an elimination game and you won. You came through with flying colors. How does that help you guys maybe going forward?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a different, I don't know if it's a different approach, but you definitely go into that kind of knowing that what you're facing, at least. And it is good for us for sure, because it's likely that at some point down this road we might be in a game like that again. But it kind of just came back to, regardless of the circumstances, we're going to play our baseball. Nothing really changes. And I think that it kind of showed that way. I think we jumped on them early, and that allowed us to be a little bit more free the rest of the day. But yeah, I think it's definitely a learning experience, and it was good for us for sure.
Jackson, what are your emotions during this postseason run after last year having to play a reserve role while still being a captain and a leader? And how much did you learn watching, for the most part, last season?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned a lot, and that was all season long, not just postseason. And it was something that I hadn't really been through before. So that's kind of how I looked at it, was how can I get better from this, and what can I learn? And I definitely did a lot. I've talked about that a lot. And I don't think it necessarily changes the way you play the game, but it definitely kind of gives you some perspective. And when you're coming down the stretch like this, I think it just, you know, you kind of think back to the run we went on last year, and we're trying to recreate some of the things that we did. And we're playing some good ball, and we're really confident that we can do that.
To this point, how does this feel different, if at all, from last season?
I mean, I think that it's just we have a lot more. A lot of guys have been here before. Like we've been in this spot only a year ago. So I think that just having a little bit of that experience, even though we lost some guys, but a lot of guys are back, having been through that, and that could only help. And I think that talent-wise, baseball-specific-wise, I think we're in as good of, if not a better spot than we were at this point last year.
Jackson, along those very same lines about having been in this spot, a lot of guys on this team, is this a point when you're 2 wins away from Omaha? Can you sort of taste it? Can you see it out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody kind of knows it's there for sure, but it's 2 or 3 games that we have ahead of us that are more important than anything, and all we're really focused on is tomorrow, because that's Coach Forbes talks about it constantly. Is like we do know what's ahead of us, but we got to get better today at practice, and then heading into tomorrow, that's all our focus is.
Man, your season really took off when you were bumped up to the 2 spot in the order. Why do you think that was?
I don't know if it was I think it just kind of was the way it worked out, honestly. I think that they were kind of playing around with the order for a lot of the first half of the season. We weren't really solid other than Keley being in the leadoff spot. Pretty much everybody had moved around, and I think it was kind of coincidental, honestly, that when I got moved there is kind of when I started being on the barrel a lot, and I've ended up sticking there. And I think the lineup that we've had the last, I don't even know, probably 5 or 6 weeks is he probably could switch some things around, but he chooses not to just because our offense has been really, really good and efficient, and we're scoring runs like that. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy hitting the 2-hole. I'd hit anywhere. Doesn't matter.
Jackson, similar to that, the outfield settled down, and you guys really took off when Carter was cemented in there. Just sort of speak to what he brings.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We kind of had an idea of it was going to be Keley and Bass, and then that last spot was kind of up for grabs, and it was a matter of who was going to go and take it. And Frenchie, we knew could play defense no matter what. He was our best defensive guy in that spot for sure. And then kind of like he spoke on earlier, he's on base all the time, scoring runs at pretty much every time he's on base. And that's, for our lineup, that's perfect, and that's what we needed. And it's continued to be a huge factor for us.
Jackson, I think it was during Aiden's outing, Luke called just a catcher-pitcher mound meeting. I think you ran up for maybe 10 seconds, ran back. How have you used your leadership role now that you have, previous to last year, you have more of an active, you're on the dirt for all the things. How have you used that leadership spot that you have in just situations like that?
Yeah, that was kind of just that was a situational thing I wanted to talk to. I was talking to Luke actually in that case about something that their base runners might be doing. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I'm in more of a spot to where I can kind of let my voice be heard a little bit within the game, which I definitely enjoy. But a lot of that stuff, we're kind of it's amongst ourselves, just in the infield to Luke behind the plate, and we don't even have to meet. I thought that was just kind of a good spot to go up there and get in his ear a little bit.
You guys are going from a regional format to a super, from the option of playing 3 teams to just playing 1. How does that change how much you prep and you scout for a team like Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we're comfortable with. You play the 3-game set all year, and playing in a regional is definitely interesting. I think a lot of that goes on the coaching staff, and they take a lot of pride in that, having to prepare for all these different teams. And I think that they would probably tell you that they enjoy preparing for 1 instead. And these last couple of days, we're locking in on their arms, kind of know what we're going to be doing defensively. And again, I'll keep saying it. It pretty much it comes back to what we're doing and what kind of baseball we're playing.
1 or 2 more.
Carter, I believe Coach Forbes has said he calls you doctor at times. Do you get that in the clubhouse? Get ribbing or anything about that?
Yeah, it's kind of that nickname because I haven't earned anything yet. So that's kind of developed this year just because of my goals and what I'm trying to do. But no, it's just, that's all it is. It's just banter, and guys call me that because I'm in the books a lot. So
Where do you want to practice?
Right now, I want to be an orthopedic surgeon, but I don't know yet. I won't know that for a while.
For both of you guys, obviously Lynch and McDuffie have pitched well all year out of the bullpen. but the way they have performed in the ACC tournament and then last year in the regionals, like, what does that do for your belief in those guys? I mean, this is their first postseason. Like, the way they're pitching, is that upped your confidence in those guys?
For me, it definitely is. Those guys all year have just been throwing well, and it's easy for us to play defense behind them because they get a lot of guys out in the box. They strike a lot of guys out. So the more they play, the better they get, and they're pitching well in big moments. So it's just credit to them and the hard work they put in, and I think that reflects on the whole pitching staff and how much work they put in. And it makes our job a lot easier as hitters because we don't have to put up as many runs when they're throwing well.
Well said. I don't know how much I can add to that. I think we're very confident with those guys up there, those two guys specifically. But I mean, anybody they throw out there, we know we're in good hands. We're going to play defense behind them, and I think that the postseason experience that they've gotten to this point, just in the couple of weeks, has been huge for them, and they're going to continue to grow.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Want to start us up?
Go ahead.
All right. Welcome to everybody. Exciting day, obviously, for our guys. That's how I woke up this morning, just ultra excited for all of our players. They're the reason you coach. We have a lot of guys that have been in this position. We also have a lot of guys that came to North Carolina to be in this position. So I'm so excited that we're playing here. Arizona has a great team. We're going to have to play extremely well. Our guys recovered well. After Monday night, we had the same thing basically we had to do last year after the Monday night against LSU to prepare for West Virginia. Our strength coach does a great job, our nutritionists, our training staff. So our guys are ready. I'm excited for them. I'm excited. I think we're going to have a great crowd here at Boshamer Stadium, and hopefully the weather will cooperate. But again, I just want to reiterate how excited I am for our players, because this is a group that has done everything we've asked them to do. They've represented us in a first-class manner. They've crushed it in the classroom, and they've crushed it on the field. So I'm just going to get out of their way and watch them play.
Coach, we just had Carter in here. How have you seen him make a difference in the lineup, but also set an example, like you said, in the classroom and outside off the field?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he's a really good player. So we're lucky that he ended up coming to UNC and the old school type walk-on. He's just worked his way into being an everyday player. We just felt like the strength of our pitching staff, of our team, was our pitching staff, and we couldn't give extra outs, and putting him in left field has really solidified our defense. But he's also gotten better and better offensively. He's competitive. He's not scared of any situation. Again, that's that football background that he has. But to see him put in the work, to be in that weight room, I still think he has another jump. He's still really young looking, as you guys see when you're talking to him. So I've already told him this summer what our goal is, to put on about 10 to 15 more pounds around his obviously hectic schedule academically, which is even more amazing that he's able to manage all that and do everything that he does.
Scott, what? Go ahead, guys.
Thanks, Scott, what do you think of Kane Keley's walk-up song, The Lion King, how the fans have gotten involved in it? And if you can't answer too, just speak to his overall impact and his story as well.
Yeah, I was wondering about that walk-up song when it first started. I was like, man, that's unique. I didn't know how that was going to take, but obviously it took, and it took really well. Kane Keley is the definition of old school baseball player. He's made himself into the player that he is. Credit to Coach Jackson for being the only coach that gave him an opportunity at Liberty. He went to Liberty's camp. Coach Jackson gave him a walk-on opportunity there. He worked his way in. Coach Jackson says he regretted not playing him right away from the get-go. And once he put him in there, he never came out. And fortunately for us, Coach Jackson decided to come back to North Carolina. And, if Coach Jackson doesn't make that decision, I don't think Kane Keley's here, because that's how loyal he is. He believes in Coach Jackson for giving him that opportunity. He really sets the tone in everything that goes on here, honestly. Even though he's new, he never takes a day off. He's already gotten so much stronger here. He lifts hard, he plays hard, takes care of his body off the field. Doesn't say a lot, he doesn't have to. but he's also learned to speak when he needs to speak, and our guys really, really respect him. And you know, obviously he's our leadoff hitter, and he had big shoes to fill. We hadn't talked about that. It's you know, I know what that feels like first year coaching when you're going behind somebody like Coach Fox, but I think it was even harder for Kane, following arguably the best college center fielder defensively to ever play, and he's filled that role, and they're from the same area and they know each other, so all that stuff's pretty cool.
How's Kane after that collision? Is he fine?
Yes, he's fine. He wouldn't tell you if he wasn't, but he's good. He thankfully was not concussed, but it just rung his bell a little bit, and they did all the tests and he was fine, and I'm very, very thankful for that for sure.
What did you think when you saw it happen live, the collision? Because you're talking about the concussion. I mean, that looked like he might have gotten knocked out.
Well, obviously I didn't think. Me and Coach Jackson were on the field, which was not good because we looked like players, and Skip was upset at that. I would have been probably upset too. We needed to let the play finish. So, but that tells you we were like very concerned. You know, watching a play like that, those things don't always end that way. A lot of times both players can be badly injured. Anytime there's a blow to the head, you're concerned, and you're hoping maybe it is only a concussion. You've also seen the other player with his knee or whatever it is. So, got out there, you know, I was just very thankful that it wasn't anything more serious. But initially, it looked really bad to me.
What about how that play ended? Because the Oklahoma guy stayed on second. The ball was rolling loose. A little bit of confusion going on out there.
Yeah, that's why I just didn't say anything and got back in the dugout.
Scott, what were the conversations with Luke coming out of the regional? Obviously, probably not the production he wanted at the plate, but what were the conversations with him coming out of that?
That's a great question because we did have conversations. You know, and Luke will tell you, I just, you know, I want to help our team win. So I just explained to him, you have helped our team win. And let's go into this super regional being you. Coach Weirs and I use Kyle Schwarber as an example. He is one of the best players. He's an all-star. He doesn't hit 350, but when he hits the ball, he does damage, and he walks a ton. And that's Luke Stevenson. And what he's gotten away from are those walks because he hadn't gotten a lot of hits. And any hitter's, you know, guilty of it. You start thinking, I've got to get a hit, I've got to get a hit. Well, Luke, I explained to him, and Coach Weirs did a better job of explaining to him, if you walk, that's your single. Because you're just not going to hit many singles. So just get back to controlling the strike zone. If you walk and you go, you know, 0 for 0 on the day, but you're on base 4 times and you score 4 times, you've helped us win. So really trying to control the strike zone, and when you swing at your pitch so you can do damage.
Coach, can you describe the mental makeup of Ryan in that he's excelled in both the relief role and as a starter?
Yeah, credit to Coach Gaines. I'll tell you, Coach Gaines saw him pitch this spring. Our coaches do a phenomenal job of seeing all of our incoming guys as late as we can, just to see where they are, because we're always thinking about next year's team. It's just the nature of the beast. And he thought he was going to pitch for us for sure because he had 2 pitches that he could control, and he loved the slider. The velocity, thankfully for us, was not 94 to 97. It was 91, 92, 93. It took another jump when he got here. But I get to see the work that's put in back there in that weight room. And that's the culture here. Coach Gaines believes that culture was here when he got here as a pitcher, that if you don't work and you don't learn to like that weight room, you just won't make it here because that talent starts wearing off and guys will just flat out outwork you. So Lynch, you know, he works, his body's gotten bigger. You see how big his legs are when he's on the mound. That's why his velocity jumped, and that's why he's able to hold that velocity, and that's why he's been able to be a really good reliever and also a swingman.
Scott, I know you didn't want to, but you guys faced elimination a couple of days ago. Flying colors, you just flew right through the flying colors. How did that help you guys down the road?
You know, we talked about that too. I said, you know, most likely, not always. Sometimes you can just roll, right? Like some teams may make it to the College World Series and not face, quote, that elimination game. They just win, 5 games? 3 and then 2. But that's really rare. So I just explained to them, you know, we started that in the ACC tournament. That's what I like about the format. Like, let's go ahead and treat this like it's a regional. Let's go ahead and treat this like a super regional. And I remind the guys tomorrow, let's don't think about Saturday. Let's go in tomorrow like it is an elimination game. The only difference is we're not going to use Jason DeCaro. Everybody else is going to be ready, and we're going to try to win that game like it is an elimination game. But I think it will definitely help us for sure.
Obviously, Knapp the carry the first 2 games, I assume. Would you consider Lynch for a possible Game 3 start?
Yeah, I mean, I would consider Lynch. I consider Houck. I consider McDuffie. I mean, it just depends on how it goes early. McDuffie's also started a game for a reason. And I've seen closers at the University of North Carolina pretty much close most of the year and then start against LSU like Trent Thornton did in an elimination game. So that third starter, you know, after the game Saturday is when we will make that decision, you know, and go from there if there's a third game.
How does,
What type,
on
what
the,
type of team is Arizona?
They're good. They're balanced. They have a superstar leading off, first round pick. He reminds me a lot of the shortstop last year offensively from West Virginia. Very well coached. The pitchers give you a lot of different looks. They're not the same. So your approach offensively is going to be really important. They don't beat themselves very often. They don't run a ton necessarily, but they've got some guys that can hit doubles and hit home runs. So it'll be a huge challenge for us. I think they're a really good team.
Is there an added appreciation for being here, given how many upsets they've been, or some top-notch seeds get knocked out?
I mean, honestly, I don't take it for granted. When you coach a decent amount of time, every year you realize that it's really, really difficult just to win in general, much less, I don't think people realize how hard it is just to make the postseason in college sports. College baseball, teams are good. One pitcher, that's the thing that's so unique about baseball. You know, one pitcher can just neutralize your offense in a tournament, in a heartbeat. So personally, my appreciation is I don't take it for granted. I remind our coaching staff, I thank them like, hey, like you guys have put in all this work, so now really, really enjoy it. Obviously, we know where we want to get, but the players will feel it if you're tight, so I refuse to let our staff get like that. This is why we do. We want to be in this position, but it's really hard to get to this position. It's even harder to take the next step, but if you're going to have a shot to take that next step, you just got to let your guys play.
Luke's
Scott,
impact.
you said it the other day that the pitching plan worked out about as perfectly as it could have, and sometimes plans don't come to fruition, but the way that Lynch has pitched in the postseason in Durham and here, does that give you maybe some pause for tomorrow? Like, hey, you know, let's try not to go to him so he's available for a Saturday or a Sunday. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you didn't use him the first game against Holy Cross, and it ends up playing out perfectly. Like, does that give you some pause with him specifically?
I wouldn't use the word pause. You know, in reality, they are both off 3 days rest, not 4, because we played Monday. Lynch threw the most pitches. So in a perfect world, obviously he gets another day. That doesn't mean he will.
Sure.
Because he's, you know, he feels really good this week, which I always tell Coach Gaines and Coach Howe, if we manage our pitching staff the right way, the guys aren't gassed at the end. You know, they can even come back. That's why Knapp felt pretty good off 2 days that he wanted us to use him that last inning if we chose to. I think you saw Tennessee use Doyle in that position. As long as you're not abusing your guys and their pitch counts are respectable and they're getting their rest, the postseason, you know, you can take a look at it. But with Lynch, you know, I don't think in a regular weekend series you hold anybody. You're trying to win the series to go to Omaha. It can change after you win game 1. It can change after if you lose game 1. But he'll be ready tomorrow. But we definitely, that's why I'm so thankful that we had a play in the ACC tournament and we wanted to prepare our guys for the postseason. So we're fortunate that we still won the ACC tournament, but getting Aiden Houck back out there as a reliever, we felt like for us to win a national championship, he's going to be part of that bullpen, and he pitched really well. Yep. The first guy he walked, all his fastball average I think was 95.3. So he's been in the bullpen before and he can strike you out. So having him available tomorrow in the bullpen too definitely can change some decision making possibly.
And with that decision making, do you sort of go into it saying, okay, this is going to be fluid, depending on how the game plays
Full
out?
what? I'm sorry?
Fluid.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you got
Depending on how the game plays out.
Yeah, this time of year, we know our team. So the matchups are the matchups, but you also know who your best pitchers are, you know, your best guys are, and I'm going to go with our guys and their strengths over the opponent weakness.
With Luke's impact, obviously we see what he does at the plate, but behind the dish, he's catching guys from Jake that have so much college experience to Ryan and Walker who have very little. How have you seen him just been a great foundation and a rock for this pitching staff?
I told him I told the team, I said the most impressive thing about Luke Stevenson is he doesn't carry his at-bats behind the plate. I was a catcher, and I had a really hard time with that, and I wasn't good at it. It took me probably until I was a senior. He's only a sophomore, and that's why he's led so well. I mean, how about the play he makes with Olin Johnson when he slips and he spikes a pitch and he throws them out? He's locked in defensively, and that can be hard when you feel like, hey, like I'm not doing my part, quote, offensively. It's easy to be pressing and carry it back there, and a lot of catchers do. But he's the leader of our pitching staff. He is the definition of a workhorse, and he's another guy. Like in all reality, you know, I know he's a high draft prospect, so I'm just enjoying being around him and watching him be so professional behind the plate.
Scott, can you talk a little bit more about what Arizona does specifically well and how you guys plan on kind of attacking that?
You know, they're just a good team top to bottom. They sit back a little bit offensively. Rarely do they try to do certain things that some teams may do, but they've got some power. They can hit the ball out of the park, so you have to make your pitches. You're going to be in more shifts potentially against them, so you have to be careful being greedy, always going for the double play, because if you're in a shift, you're just trying to grab outs. And I think one of the biggest challenges is on the mound, they give you a lot of different looks. So if they make a change, the pitcher that's coming in is going to be a lot different than the pitcher that was just in. And that's where you have to completely buy into the approach that Coach Wiersbicki and Coach Jackson are talking to you about as you're going into the box.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank y'all. Have a great